Today's episode of the Good Dude, Good Dad podcast is brought to you by BioPro, Hidden House Coffee, and Next Gen Peptides. Enjoy the show.
Now it's crazy.
Yeah, there's a ton.
Yeah, every street. I'm gonna open a shop. I'm like, dude, you don't want to. Trust me, you don't want it. Like, just go work and be happy and don't have the headaches of owning it. You know, like.
Do you tattoo a lot still?
I'm slowing down a lot more now. I feel like it's just God's like pushing me in this weird direction where it's like, I love tattooing.
Yeah.
And I think that's like, I hope to do it forever. But I have so many more passions that I feel like God's creating like this space to like dive into those.
That's cool.
So it's a weird thing. It's like my ego really wants to still tattoo and be like, I'm Brad, I'm the tattooer. But like, God's kind of like, bro, you're so much more than that.
Yeah.
And let me use that to like push that to the side and show you what you're really capable outside of tattooing.
Yeah.
To do, you know, it's weird. I'm in like a paradigm.
I like it.
It's weird. Like,
how many artists do you have that work underneath you?
At the shop, there's 7 of us total.
Okay.
So.
And it's like a rent style?
Yeah. I think anybody works underneath me. And we're all
I meant at your shop. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, like we're all, you know, that's like my big thing. Like, that's why I called it Stay Sacred. It's like the people that come in there, it's like you're valued. You're, you know, like you're on the same level as me. I'm never going to say like, I'm the owner. It's like, my name is on the building and on the lease, but like, this is your studio.
Yeah.
As much as it is mine.
Yeah.
And I want to help you feel that. And like, I don't want people to be like, oh, here comes Brad.
Yeah.
The boss is here. I'm like, ugh.
How'd you end up opening your own space? Like, how did that end up happening?
I just think working for a bunch of dudes that I genuinely was like, I think I could do this better.
Yeah.
You know, not necessarily better, just I think more catered to like the right ideals.
Right.
You know, and the right like to create the space that's like more welcoming.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Cool, dude.
Yeah.
Normally we do an intro, but I liked what you guys just were talking about, so we're just gonna keep it flowing.
Cool.
But Brad Reis? Reis. Oh,
Yep.
dude, I'm so sorry.
It's all good. Everybody calls it Reis.
It's okay. My name's Jordan. I get Jason all the time. I'm like, I don't even know how that even works, but sure. I mean, we'll do with that. Tattoo artist, tattoo shop owner, videographer now.
Yep.
Stay Sacred Tattoo, Stay Sacred
Studios.
Club.
Yep. Stay Sacred or Sacred Clothing Club.
Okay.
Yep. Dude. Yeah.
That's rad. And Father 3.
And Father 3. Yeah. Husband.
Yeah. Let's
Follower
go.
of Christ.
Let's go.
Yeah.
What do you have, like, kids wise?
I have a boy and 2 boys and a girl.
2 boys and a girl.
Yeah, my girl's the oldest, and then my boys are the
It's me.
brutes, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Oldest girl, 2 younger sons.
Yeah.
I'm flipped. My oldest is a boy, and then I got 2 younger girls.
Oh, crazy.
And then my wife's pregnant with our 4th.
Ooh.
So it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be nuts.
Yeah, you're braver than I am, sir.
Dude, I'm terrified.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, well, just
That's
kind
our
of
intro right there, man.
yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself. Like how, like we were saying earlier, everyone sees now, right? But like how did you get here? Like tell us a little bit about like where'd you grow up? How did you get to where you're doing? How did you start tattooing? That kind of stuff.
Yeah. So I grew up in Garden Grove. I'm the youngest of 5 boys.
5 boys.
Yeah, bless my mom. Yeah, and my dad.
Bro.
So it was, you know, like a pretty normal, all American way to grow up, dude. Just running the streets and having fun with my brothers. And it was rowdy,
Yeah.
to say the least. But I started tattooing. Well, I started seeing my oldest brothers come home with tattoos when I was a little guy, and that kind of, you know, piqued my interest.
Yeah.
And my oldest brother at the time was just like, he was running amok, just being a total boy, like the dude, skating, out doing his thing.
Yeah.
And I really like emulated and was like, you know, it's your oldest brother, dude. You're like,
Yeah.
I would be like him. So I started tattooing in high school.
No way.
Dang.
Yeah, with one of my buddies. And it was just one of these things that like, you just, you know, I was a graffiti kid, little skater kid, not a very good kid at times, but just tattooing for, you know, like honestly, whatever and whenever in high school.
Yeah.
To like working a job and did that for like a year out of high school and was like, dude, this is not me.
Yeah.
Like I'd rather be broke and homeless chasing after what I want to do than miserable and sitting in somebody else's dream, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I did that and was basically couch surfing, cruising when I was in my younger, you know, 19, 20, didn't really have it figured out, bouncing around from couch to couch. and decided just to like go all in with tattooing. Somebody took me on and was like, yeah, I'll show you what I know. And from there, it's like, this is all I know. This is all I do now. It's
It's not all you do now. Now you do.
No, yeah. Now there's a lot more pieces in the puzzle, but it's all I did for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you apprentice under someone? Did you actually go through an apprenticeship process or
It's kind of like impromptu.
impromptu?
Yeah, I feel like I learned really quick,
Yeah.
which was cool. Because I was artistically pretty like there. So when I started tattooing, it was pretty like, oh, sweet, this is easy. I just get to draw on skin instead of walls.
Yeah.
Sweet. I was blessed and fortunate to work around really good guys.
Yeah.
As soon as I started,
That's rad.
so it kind of like, leveled me up pretty quickly. But yeah, no formal apprenticeship. Don't come after me for not having an apprenticeship.
Yeah.
It's funny because we've only had 2 tattoo artists on, and neither one of you guys have gone through a formal apprenticeship. Like he was like, yeah, I just started tattooing buddies, and like I was just doing it like at my house and like doing it for fun because he was very like he did a lot of drawing.
He's a
and all
good
that kind of
artist,
stuff. Good
yeah.
artist, yeah. And then he was like, and then one day I got a tattoo gun. We just started doing that, and then the next thing I know, I'm tattooing at a studio. I was like, that's insane. Like because how I understood tattooing is that you had to apprentice, then you had to work, but that's cool. I like that. I like that story.
Yeah, no, it's been a journey, man. It's definitely been a journey. It's one of those things where it's like, do you go all in on yourself and what you think is gonna like do something good in your life? Because I would have never thought tattooing would like get me the things that I have in my life, like a career and a business owner and stability and like having your kids see you build things. Like that's like, whoa, I can chase my own dreams.
Yeah.
It's like tattooing did that for me. So it's kind of trippy. Like I would have never thought. I just liked doing it because it was cool and fun.
Yeah.
Dude, how many tattoos have you messed up? On a person, just like messed up.
Ooh, that I would like admit. Probably too many.
No, like maybe not like like the shade is off right here.
Yeah.
But like, have you ever had like just like a massive mess up that's permanently on someone's skin?
P slams.
Yeah.
P slams, bro, instead of Psalms.
Yeah.
P slams, bro.
Could you fix it or no?
That one's tricky.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask Jake that. I never got to ask, but I'm curious. Like, and that's obviously takes balls to admit that too. Like,
For sure.
But it would obviously have been a long time ago. But because like when I mess up someone's coffee, like, oh yeah, I messed up someone's coffee. But if you mess up like a tattoo on my skin, I'm like, I'm coming for you,
Dude.
Yeah, no, for real. I mean, I would like to admit or like think that I did good tattoos.
Yeah.
And there's some people that are just so like,
Yeah.
they just don't have as much, I don't know, like outward expression as I do. Yeah. I'm like, oh, you love it, right? That thing's sick. They're like, oh, it's cool. And I'll go home, dude, and I'm just driving home like, wow, I'm not good at this anymore. Huh? This is crazy.
I'm gonna retire, babe. We're closing up the shop.
Yeah, I'm like, dang, dude, this is all right, cool. And then they'll text me like 2 days later, bro, I love it. And I'm like, where was that 2 days ago, bro? I've been like
spiraling for 2 days.
Literally, dude. Yeah, in the shop, just like, oh god, this is terrible. You're gonna pay me for this? Sorry.
Oh my gosh, I could, dude. I don't know if I could do it. Like the pressure of putting something on someone's skin that is like permanent. I think I would freak.
Yeah.
I also can't draw, so there's that.
Yeah.
And you cannot. I don't care. People always say you can learn how to do stuff. I genuinely believe there's certain things you can't be taught. Like you can't teach me how to sing. It's not happening. It's awful. I don't care what voice coach. It is awful.
Coyote in a trash compactor.
That's how I sound.
That's what it sounds
You also
like.
can't teach me how to draw. There's just, you could show me like, there's a way you draw eyes and then you do the shading that way or the contour. I was like, it ain't happening. It's just, it's not.
Which I think is so funny because you do so many different designs where you have other people draw it.
Yeah.
But you're very meticulous about what you want. And you can he'll be like, no, this needs to be moved a little bit this way and that way and this and that. But if you told him like, go draw it, he'd be like, no.
Like that skull, cowboy skull on you. I told him what I wanted, but and it's, even though it's so simple, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Like it's so simple. I couldn't do it. But the first iteration he sent me, I was like, oh, no, dude. You got to do this. You got to do that. Like the hat, I'm like, well, you draw it. I can't.
Yeah. You have the vision, dude.
But
sometimes that's where it starts and that's where it ends,
Yeah. So there's all right, so fill us up a little bit in that gap between, you decided to go all in on your dreams. Actually, I heard a really cool quote. I think I posted on my story today where it was a pastor talking about, he was like, it's so funny how a lot of times we think that like we're wondering where God is in the whole thing. He's like, looking back on my life, I'm where I'm at because of a series of what I thought were missteps in my life actually led me to the place that I was supposed to be at all along. He's like, I would have never met my wife. I would have never moved here. I would have never planted this church. And he's like, I never would have had the impact that I have now in the life that it is. He's like, and the whole time I thought I was messing up. And so like how from when you were 19 to now, like how did you get there? Like, and like what were some of the challenges that came along with that?
Oh man, yeah, that's a lot. It's a lot to unpack in that little bit of time.
Let's do it.
You know what I mean?
Just
That's a
hit
lot,
highlights.
dude.
We'll dig in places. Yeah.
Okay, so did the whole like couch surfing thing, basically like trying to be a vagabond and do it my way, and led me in some really sketchy places with some even sketchier people. At this time, my oldest brother was like in his active addiction, and as I was as well. You know, we were both doing whatever we could, whenever we could, however we could. And it was, I would say like 2016, 2017. It's like still tattooing, still in shops, kind of just doing my thing, partying and, you know, having fun. At this time, you know, me and my wife are together, boyfriend, girlfriend, but it wasn't like let me like take this serious, you know?
Yeah.
And it's one of those things you're just, you know, I felt like I was a kid doing kid stuff with my oldest brother who's like this man doing like man things that were not appropriate for a kid. And I'm just tagging along, you know? So I feel like I'm gonna like try to fast forward because it was a lot of just that. And then in 2017, I had my daughter, right? So this is like the happiest time of my life. It's like I'm starting to figure it out. I feel like life's kind of like, okay, cool. I'm growing up. I'm a tattooer. I'm now a dad, which is crazy. And this is in December. And then fast forward to March, my older brother committed suicide. And I lost him. And it was like this happy time in my life where like my daughter legit saved my life. And then it's like the saddest time in my life because it's like I lost my hero, you know, my oldest brother who was like everything and anything that I could ever like, you know, I can't even imagine like, I don't know. So it's hard to go back to that like point in time where it's, you know, but it was crazy. So like 2018 was just like the roughest year of my life. Like it just, I wanted to give up everything. And it was so crazy because I had this beautiful little girl, this loving wife that's keeping me grounded and keeping me, you know, here, to be honest. And then I'm just like actively reopening these addictions and reopening this like part of me that I thought like, cool, God's like showing me that like you're moving out of that stage. And then that happens and it's like, oh, well, let's go back to that because that's what's safe and that's what feels good, you know? So there's a lot of that in 2018 for me.
Yeah.
And then, you know, my wife was just holding it down, and got a little better. 2019, had my son. And then around then, 2020 is like, we were just kind of going through a lot more turmoil and just being, you know, parent. Here, let me.
Yeah.
What are you doing, bro? So it's like 2020, it's like full blown dad mode and just like trying to like not be that person anymore. And just learning to like leave that kind of in the past. You know, fast forward another year, I have my third son and now we're in, you know, just like full blown dad mode. And I'm still kind of low key living in this like addictive personality mind state where it's like, you know, I'm smoking weed every day and like I'm drinking and I'm still feeling like I'm cool. I'm maintaining. I'm like, I'm a dad, you know, but like I'm here. But I wasn't really like there, you know? And I felt like 2022 was this weird trying time. My wife was raised basically like with no religion background whatsoever, nothing, just, you know, do good and good things will happen to you. This like whole Zen Buddha mind state, which I'm like, yeah, in hindsight, that sounds cool.
Yeah.
But like, yeah. So I was raised super Catholic, kind of fell out of my religion. During this time, obviously, it's like, I lost my brother and I just blamed God.
Right.
Like, why could you do this? So now we're in 2022 and it's like, we're going through this crazy month. It was super random where like, we're like living in this thing where my grandma had just died. My daughter's in the hospital, like needing surgery for her arm. And my son was in the hospital a couple weeks before that for a few days. So I'm just like back to this mindset of like, dude, I'm gonna just throw it all away, like again, you know, and it gets too tough and I don't know what to do except for like, you know, doing what I know how to do, the old Brad.
Yeah.
And it was super crazy this time because my wife's in the hospital, or I'm in the hospital with my son, or with my daughter, sorry. And my wife calls me and she's just like in tears. I don't know what to do, all this stuff. And in my head, I'm like, oh, I know what I'm going to do when I get out of here. Like, I'm going to go back to being Brad, you know? And she calls me and she's like, I think I'm going to like give it up to God or like do something. And our friend calls her and she's like, hold on, I think I'm getting off track here. She's like, hey, have you ever like given your life to Christ? You feel like you can't do it all. Like, have you ever, you know, going all in for Christ? And my wife's like, I don't even know what that means. Like, what are you talking about? And so she ends up saying like, yeah, I'm going to go all in for Jesus. And I'm sitting in the hospital like, dude, no way. I'm good. Like,
Yeah.
this is too much to handle, bro. I don't even know if God wants to take this one. Like, this is too much. And just felt that same pressure of all the years. And so we get out of the hospital. It's like this super cool feeling like, oh my gosh, we're finally free. And my wife just like goes all in, like all in for Jesus. And it's super crazy because I guess a lot of people say like when the man gets saved, the household gets saved. And like, you know, and like it was total opposite for me. My wife was the one who's like, I'm going to get saved and I'm going to follow Jesus. And like, you're either with this walk or you're not. And it was crazy for me because I'm like, whoa, that's like really cool. And to see her transition and how like she approached that situation when I would have just done what Brad likes to do.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that's amazing. So like my wife being saved, like saved me in 22. And now it's just like all downhill, like uphill.
Yeah.
Where we're just like, dude, we just want to like follow Christ and be as like good of people to our children and our friends as we can be and like not revert back to old Brad.
Yeah.
You know, and like all that probably went off on a tangent. Sorry.
No,
the
you're good.
timeline's crazy,
No,
you
you're
know,
good.
but like it's been so much, dude, so much to unpack and just like not only deal with, but to like accept.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like stare myself in the mirror and just have that ego death of like, whoa, like you aren't that person. The thing in your head that's saying you are is not real. You know, the person that you're trying to emulate is, you know, do that. Be like that. Be more like that. That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
I do.
And so there's a lot in there. And I think I would love to go back to, I think you said it was like 17, between 17 and 20, 17 and 2020. But I think the more Jordan and I have conversations with a lot of different guys is they're all stuck in what you were saying, old Brad. And like you thought you still were okay because you're functioning, right? You had a daughter, but you're only dabbling a little bit. So, you know, you're better off than full-blown person doing crazy, right?
Yeah.
Where we have so many stories and issues, and all three of us in this room can attest to one point in their life that you are going through the motions. Like you are, you know, living one way, but you're coping another way when no one's around, or you're 1 foot in or you're 1 foot out, or you have this part of your life figured out, but this part over here is awful, but no one needs to see those, right? Because you're still functioning. And is there, during that time frame, like, and you can answer this or not, or go as deep as you want, but as you had a daughter, and I know like when I first held my daughter, like that girl freaking kicked me in the nuts and also opened my heart all in one, right? And I just was holding this thing that I had never met. I talked to in a belly, but had never like met her. And then all of a sudden I'm holding her and I'm like, oh, for me, when I went full opposite in the sense of like, man, I have so much love for this thing that I'm holding for the first time. Like if that's even just a fraction of what like God's love is for us, like I have to do everything I can to make sure like I'm the best for her. And not that I'm saying you didn't, but like for me in that moment in the hospital when my wife was asleep, it was just me and her, and I was like, whoa, like as a believer in Christ, like this is what is just a fraction of how God loves us. Like for me, it was one of those things where I was like, all right, obviously I've made tons of mistakes since then.
Yeah.
And I'm going to forever. But in that moment, I think it was the first time in my adult life, especially as a believer, that I was like, oh, like this is what it means to have like an unconditional love. And there's still so much more I can't even grasp in God's love that I'm going to do whatever it takes to make sure like I'm the best me for this. And I just went on a tangent, but all that to say is like, there's so many, we're going to speak to guy specific because it's just male specific, but guys that are in the church.
Yeah.
And, you know, they believe in God. They walk the walk 70%, 90%, 95%. But then you justify, because I did this for so long, and Jordan and I talked about this, but I justified, I never stopped going to church when I was sleeping around, getting drunk, fighting, doing all the crazy things. I never stopped going to church. So I was like, oh, I'm not as bad as my buddy over there.
Yeah.
You know, for you, can you walk us through kind of that transition of knowing that you wanted to be a certain man and a certain father and a certain husband, but also at the same time you said like you were still kind of semi-old Brad. Like what was that like for you to be able to, and that's a hard look, right? Like that's a hard thing to look at and be like, oh man, like I was trying to be this father, but I was also still doing this.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm trying to like
100%,
get at?
Yeah. And being able to walk that line where it's like, you know, your discernment.
Yeah.
You know, you want to be this person and you're still walking with this person or being this person. Yeah. And I feel like it's, you know, honestly, it's like, I feel like that's a daily walk.
Yes.
You know, it's like you have to pick up your cross every day, you know, and I don't take that for granted anymore as much, where old Brad would have just been like, nah, it's all good. You know what I mean? I'm not going to pick that up today. But I feel like the older you get and the more that you're wanting to make that decision to actually walk with Christ, it's like you have to take that cross up. And I'm super guilty of it. There's days where I don't take my cross.
Yeah.
You know, and I wake up, I get out of bed, I'm distracted and I'm just moving the way I want to move. And you know, it's like now I have enough grace on myself, which before I didn't.
Yeah.
And now it's a little more like, okay, Brad, you can stare yourself in the mirror and understand that like, cool, dude, you may not be 110% today. And like, that's okay. You don't need to self-sabotage. I was really good at self-sabotaging.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's some days where I'm still
Dude,
like that, you know?
there's a lot of guys like that. I mean, it's a lot of this whole like they get saved and they go like, all right, well, they say that like what I've seen is like in our minds we go, I'm the old Jordan and I'm just gonna pretend and do as good as I can to be the new Jordan. Like that's, but I'm always the old Jordan, but I'm trying my best to be this new person. And it's like, you got to let go of that belief system that like, you got to understand that Christ died. And when you accept him, like you actually died to yourself. That old person, that old version of you is now gone. It's not there anymore. Like it never happened. It's been wiped clean. And then what happens is that they like self-sabotage. And this is stuff that I did. And it was like almost a justification to myself. Like, see, I knew it. It's just me. Cause that's just old Jordan coming back out, you know? And I still feel that from time to time. It's like, oh, that's just old Jordan. It's okay because that's just who I am, but I'm trying to be new Jordan. It's like, no, I gotta let that go and walk in like, I am a new creation in him.
Yeah.
And it's like the old me has to die. And it's a choice that I have to make. Like when I wake up, it's just like, yo, this is who I am. Like constantly, like for me, constantly reminding myself like, hey, these are things that I don't do. These are things that I do because I am that new creation. And so, am I going to stumble and fall? Yeah, there's times where I mess stuff up. We all do. But it's like, it's not because that's who I am. It's in that moment. It's like, I just let flesh get the best of me.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, cool. Let's let that go and let's move on.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, I feel like, I think more men need to like get rid of that whole I'm still that old me person, or just trying to cover it up. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Or is that just like I don't know.
No, that's
me.
100. Yeah, 100%. I feel like as men, that's the one thing we love to do. It's the second you feel like you're not performing to your best ability, you're going to revert back to that and be like, well, I've done that before. I can be that person again.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so much harder to get back to that when you know you're stumbling more than you're actually like running towards
Right.
the goal, you know? And I love to self-sabotage, dude. It's like my biggest flaw. I'm an artist. I'm a creative person. And I love having that like, oh, this is good, right? And when I don't get it, I just internalize it. And I'm like, oh, I'm not good at this. And that's just the enemy, dude. Like running his mouth, you know? And it's like, bro, that's not me.
Yeah.
And it takes, you know, a believer and somebody who's going to like sit back and understand like new creation. Like, dude, that's not you. Like the guy in your head, bro, he's not real. He wants you to feel that way. So you're going to be, you know, less than what you're supposed to be, you know, who you really like built to be. And, you know, it's tough. It's tough to get there.
Yeah.
Tough to get it.
And on your timeline too, it's not that long ago.
No.
Like for me, like I grew up in the church, like my whole life. And so when I was in my, I call them whatever, crazy hurricane, tornado, messed up days, when I look at it now, it was only 3 years, but that 3 years felt like a lifetime, right? But when you think of, I'm almost 38 or I am 38, like 3 years is nothing. And so I had most of my life in all my formative years in the church. And a lot of people have also had that just go their other way, you know. But for me, I always had this foundation that I knew, which became dangerous. I knew I was going to lean back on that foundation at some point. So I, like you said, was choosing every day to just do the opposite of everything I was taught, raised, believe, and still felt about myself.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, like God's going to forgive me, you know, like, or I'm never going to get too far gone. I'm always going to be right there. But I had that foundation. Like if you didn't grow up in that, or you didn't have that, or you didn't have like a support system, those are the stories where I'm just like, bro, like those people have like the fortitude, you know, those people have like what it genuinely takes. Like for me, I'm like, yeah, I had to make the effort to change myself, right? I had to fix myself. I had to make that choice every single day. But I knew that I was going to do that at some point.
Yeah.
I was just choosing to be a dingbat during that time frame because I could.
Yep.
Because I wanted to, or because I almost died, or I was like, I'm just living life because I almost died, like, which is so stupid.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to get to the point of like, if you didn't have that, like you said, your wife didn't grow up in that, and you grew up Catholic, but if you don't have like this full blown, what we now understand as like accountability and brothers in Christ that we can lean on, or people that are going to be like, yo, dude, you're acting like an idiot. Like, are you actually believing like what, or living the way you're believing? Like, you know, you can't have 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Yeah.
I am fully aware of that now.
Yeah.
That you cannot have 1 foot in and 1 foot out. Like it's impossible. I don't care who you are. And if you're listening and you think you can straddle that line, you're wrong. Like that's where it takes the ability to look at yourself and be like, oh, man, yeah, no, I guess I can't look at porn today and think I'm better because I didn't go out to a bar and sleep with a girl. Like you're both wrong.
Yeah.
But the justification and the reasonings behind it are what the enemy does use to like try to capture us, you know? And so for you, again, going back to like that time frame, like how the heck, because this is, I think, very useful information to people.
Yeah.
How the heck did you get yourself out of old Brad into new Brad? Yes, you found your faith, but what are some other steps in there that maybe you implemented for yourself that helped you maybe quit drinking a little bit or doing whatever other substances you were doing? Like, what were those steps that you were taking in your life to get you to quote unquote new Brad?
Yeah. Just being more accountable. Like you're saying, it's like, you know, being able to stare at yourself in the mirror and just understand that, like, you know, you're going to fall, you're going to slip, you're going to do these things. Having grace. I think for me, I didn't have any grace towards myself. I held myself to a standard that was unrealistic at a lot of the times. Like in my art, I hold myself to a standard that I'm like, this is where I need to be at all times. Firing, let's go. Business, we got to kill it, we got to crush it.
Yeah.
And it's unrealistic. And the burnout is where I slip and I fall. And that's why I love my wife for this, because she's the first person to be like, dude, slow down.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. Take a breath. Live in the things that you've not only worked for, but the life you wanted to live. You're so busy worried about the next thing and the next thing. Like, that's when you go to old Brad. It's like, take a second, relax, and turn it, like, enjoy it. The process sometimes is, way sweeter than the end result.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I just feel like I have to have a lot more grace with myself and a lot more time to just sit and be like, okay, this is what I'm working for. Enjoying a day with my children, or being the dad that's like, on the sidelines at a sports game, watching my daughter surf. It's like, that to me, I feel is it's keeping me from being old Brad, because now there's so much more to new Brad that it's way more worth going back to that. Like, there's just, when I had, my daughter and losing my brother, all that stuff, it was easy in that mind frame to be like, oh, this is just what you do when you deal with problems.
Yeah, like cope.
Yeah.
This way, yeah.
And now my coping is so much different, because it's like, there's so many bigger pieces to my life that, are going to fuel that for me. So if I'm feeling like, hey, old Brad's coming back, dude, like, I hit the knees and I'm like, God, take it. Like, there's been nights where I've been frustrated with my Bible. Like, dude, show me.
Yeah.
What do I need to see? Because I feel this way right now. I'm like, I don't want to be this person. What do I do?
Yeah.
And I'll crack that book, dude. And 9 times out of 10, it'll point me right to where I want to be. And it's like, that is a big thing. Open your Bible. Be able to see the words that are going to, like, keep you from being that old you. And some days are easy. Some days are not freaking easy, dude.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you got to have some grace with yourself too, and, like, protect your peace.
Yeah.
And that's hard.
Which, having grace with yourself is not as easy as it sounds. And I think that is another whole nother topic we could talk about. You're never too far gone.
Yeah.
And the problem, speaking of having Joshua, like, the problem is we and the enemy uses those moments, right? Where, like, you do have guilt and shame.
100%.
And you internalize these things, and you have done so many bad things that you think is bad, but all things are bad. So it doesn't mean one thing is lesser than the other. Like, all things that are not edifying to God are not good. But we as humans will definitely, and as men specific, will take those things and be like, oh no, man, I'm too far gone. No one's gonna want me. I shoved a needle in my arm. I'm worse off now because I should have just snorted it. And now I'm too far gone. So I might as well keep being that, right? I might as well go further.
Yeah.
Maybe I can find other veins that I can hit, or, you're never too far gone. And so having grace with yourself requires discipline.
Yeah.
And it requires genuinely working on that, right? Like, it's not something that you're going to wake up one day and be like, oh, I forgive myself.
Yeah.
And if you can, then I think you're probably a sociopath. Like, if you haven't put any work into, like, understanding what grace means, it doesn't mean I'm letting myself off the hook for stumbling.
Yeah.
What it means is I'm letting myself have that moment to understand I stumbled, I messed up, but I need to fix it.
Yeah.
And how do I fix that? Well, call a friend, tell my wife, reach out to my pastor, open God's word. Like, it doesn't give you, grace does not give us the permission to just freely choose to do all these awful things. And I know someone's going to hear that and be like, oh, if I have grace on myself, I can just keep doing all these things. And it's like, no, bro. It's okay when you do those things if your heart and your intent is to fix it, because that's what we're led and called to do.
Exactly.
So it is a discipline. It's a spiritual discipline that has to be refined. It has to be worked on. It is a tool. Grace is a tool. Forgiveness is a tool. Having the discipline to do that is a tool. Discernment is a tool. And having the ability to understand, like, when I look at myself in the mirror, if I'm not happy, I need to figure out how to fix it. These are all tools that we use to get to where we're at.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I want someone to hear right now is, like, these are tools. Just like coping is a tool to, essentially making yourself not feel something.
Yeah.
I feel like I keep rambling, but it's like, it's just those things where I'm like, I don't want somebody to not hear what you're saying. Like,
No, it's good.
grace is is something you got to work at.
Yeah.
And you have to have grace in our marriages.
Yeah.
And as a parent, when my 7-year-old does something crazy, she's 7.
Yeah.
Like, I need to learn how to be like, oh, she's 7. Like, we need to have grace in this moment. Obviously, there's times where I'm going to explode, like with this stupid white vacuum story. And, but I had to have grace with myself in that moment too and be like, ooh, Ben, take a breath. And then I see the laser beam eyes from my wife. And then it's one of those where I'm like, yep, I'm wrong. Let me own that, you know. But
No. What a blessing that you have such a solid wife too, man.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Like, I mean, it says in the Bible, he who finds a wife finds a good thing, especially if you find a really good wife. Like, you know, I know all 3 of us are lucky to have.
Yeah.
Because like you were saying, she was able to be that rock for you when you needed it. How was that transition? Like when she became a believer and you weren't quite ready yet? Like how was that transition or that time period?
Honestly, it was pretty eye-opening
Yeah.
to see and feel what she was feeling, like from an outside perspective. It's like you always hear people being like, oh my gosh, like I feel the Lord, you know? And it's like, for me at that time, I was like, I was raised Catholic and I'm going to church and it's like, sit down, do this.
Yeah.
Feel very like, you know, structure. I was an altar boy.
Yeah.
And went to catechism. And like, it was like, oh, these are just like the steps that you do. And, you know, I loved it.
Yeah.
You know, I felt like I knew God's presence, but seeing my wife truly experience the presence of God really rocked me. It opened my eyes to like, oh my gosh, there is so much more to this than what I have felt a lot of my life. So seeing her go through the motions, it really made me more eager and hungry to like chase after that feeling that she's feeling. And I'm like, how do we get in the room with people that feel that way? How do we, I want to feel that all the time.
Yeah.
You know, what you're feeling. And for her to feel it, not knowing why or what the steps are to be, it puts a lot in perspective. Like, oh my gosh, God is real. And he is in the room a lot more than you think he is.
Yeah.
And it really, it made me hungry, made me a lot hungry. And then we started going to church and, okay, now we need to raise our kids this way and we need to like speak life into them and they need to learn what life is meant to be. And it's been pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now my wife is like she is in, you know, she's volunteering at church and I'm just like, wow, like I thought I was walking with the Lord, dude. And you meet a woman like that and you're like, whoa, you are really walking with the Lord. And it makes you hungry and makes you want to, you know, really just emulate the stuff that she's doing.
Yeah.
You know?
So your guys' transformation seems at least to be almost like a pretty radical one.
Yeah.
Where like, you know, sometimes we talk about this often actually, like if a guest comes on and they weren't Christians and they got saved, some of them have had radical or some it was kind of like a slow roll, right? Like still dabbling with all the stuff I'm doing, still, you know, sleeping with my girl or girls and, you know, like, but I was going to church and then I would like listen to a message and then it would make me think and then I'd maybe change one part. But it sounds like yours is pretty radical in transformation sense.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like, you know, it's like, it's something you got to do every day.
Yeah.
I feel like the faster you chase after Jesus, the faster the enemy is going to chase after you.
Yes.
And I think that's the craziest part is outsider looking into a Christian church. It's like, oh, everybody's got it all figured out. And I just love it now that I'm so involved. I'm like, dude, it's the exact opposite.
Yeah,
we're all just
none of us got it figured out.
Yeah. I'm like, we're all just trying to work
Yeah.
and just be a little bit more like Jesus, man. And we're all broken.
Yeah.
And we may not want to admit it, but it's like, it's such a beautiful thing. And that's why I love getting around other believers and other like hot coals for Christ, because it's you can break down a little bit more of that barrier and just be real with somebody.
Yeah.
You know, and if it's a little more God-centered, it feels a little more like, I don't want to say authentic, but I feel like there's a lot more of like a solid foundation
Yeah.
in it, you know? And it's like, I can be vulnerable with you and let you know, like, this is who I am as a person, dude.
Yeah.
And that's why I love my tattoos because I feel like they're BS blockers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You take me at face value, bro.
Yeah. Because
You
you have
like-
a look.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you like it or you don't. And that's my personality as well. Like, I'm going to speak on stuff if I feel like it needs to be spoke on. And it may have lost me a lot of friends and a lot of people, But I feel like God was like, this is why you are the way you are. And that's why I love getting around other Christian men, because we are all in the core after the same thing, but we're all moving differently through life.
Yeah.
And I think it's really cool to get in rooms with people like that, you know?
Yeah, I like how you're saying that you're speaking on it, because I feel like and I don't want to get on too much of a tangent, but the church culture has gotten too caught up in like the nice Christian boy.
Oh, yeah.
Like the nice Christian guy. It's like, oh, just keep your mouth shut and just fold your hands. And it's like, nah, bro, that's not how that was supposed to be. Like, Jesus came in flipping tables and whipping people because they messed up his house. Like, you know, he wasn't, you know, he rebuked people. But he did it in love, you know? It wasn't like he was just cussing them out, you know? He was like, he called them out and it was like, hey, no. We need to hold each other to a higher standard. And the only way that we're going to be held to a higher standard is if you start calling things out instead of just being the nice guy and letting it all fly. So,
For sure. And there's a way to do that. And I
There's a way
think
to do
that's
that.
what we're lacking in today's modern masculinity freaking talks. There's a way where I could be like, yo, Jordan, you're being a fool, right? Drastically different versus if I just went up to him as like, honestly, dude, you're an idiot. Like, I mean, I would say that too because we're friends. But, you know, there's just a different way. If I'm saying you're an idiot, you're being a fool, and then the opposite of, I'm just going to punch you in your mouth because, like, I don't like what you're doing. And it's like, I don't know where the heck it got so complicated to be a man. Like, it's kind of weird. Like, it's either you're too much of a man, you're not man enough. So whereas, like, it's just so weird to me that we're living in a time that it's either a good thing in some circles to be a man, and then in other circles it's you can't be a man. You know, toxic masculinity, and I'm like, well, this life is crazy.
Yeah.
But I do want to hit on something. Speaking of man and this thing, people might disagree with me. There are going to be people that disagree with me, and I think they're going to take it out of context because they're too manly to admit that there's a flaw there. You said a comment, which is it is true. I fully believe it to be true. When a man gets saved, the rest of the family typically will. I also firmly believe when a woman in the house, a strong woman in the house gets saved, others will also be saved. Yes, the correlation is like when a father or a man does it, the statistics don't lie.
Yeah.
But I think also one thing that I really dislike is there's a lot of people out there that think the man always has to be top dog in everything. I do believe we are supposed to be top dog in a lot of things. But for me in my marriage, having a wife that is equally yoked as me and at times will be able to be stronger than me in her own faith and in those foundations and in those principles and hold me to a higher standard and call me out on my BS when it needs to be called out. Like, to the men that think that is like, oh, like a woman has no place there, you're an idiot. Like, my wife being quote unquote equally yoked or at times spiritually like stronger than me has made me at those times be like, oh man, like this is what it means to have a partnership and a relationship that's so centered in Christ individually and as a couple. That makes me like so stoked that I have, because I've never had that in any other relationship. And there's a reason why none of those relationships lasted. Like, I'm not saying how I want to say it because I'm having to articulate it as I'm speaking on it, but there's this culture where it's like, and this thought process that, you know, the woman should be behind the man.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I think there's context that is not fully applied there. But like right now, my wife being as strong as she is in something that we're dealing with makes me sit back. And on my drive here, I was like, I am so thankful that God has put a woman in my life that has that kind of strength, that there's times where you're like, oh my gosh, like that is so sick. Like, but then, you know, you hear the flip side of that and the extremists saying, no, it should be the man first. And I'm like, I think you're missing the point.
Yeah, for sure.
So again, that was a tangent just to say, like,
equally yoked.
I love that you said that though, that your wife is the reason and the kind of like the catalyst that propelled you towards it.
For sure.
And I think that's powerful.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question in that. Like, did she, when she got saved and you weren't quite there yet, was she like, you better get on this? Or did she just kind of do her thing and let you come along? Like, how did that play out?
Yeah. She had grace every step of the way. I think she was on her walk more than she wanted me to be on her walk, which I valued.
Well, that's pretty crazy. Yeah.
You know, and for me, it's like I was raised in this, and it's like I understand why I'm not all in on this. And for me to be like, well, you need to backtrack on your walk because I'm not there yet, would have been, you know, just selfish.
Yeah.
And so she was in her journey, and I was like, I think we both just had a mutual respect for it. And, you know, I'm like, I want you to put God first above me, above everything else, because that's genuinely where he needs to be in order for you to be the best, you know, follower of Jesus that you can be. And I understood that, you know, at least that much of what I got from reading the Bible. I'm like, okay, this is where I need to be on this journey. And she was never, not once, like, well, why are you not, you know, wanting to go to church as much? Why are you not wanting to do these things? She never once said that. There's been days where I was like, no, I'm good. Have fun at church.
Yeah.
And she highlines out the door, and I'm just like sitting in the house alone, like, wow, you just had the easiest opportunity to go and do that, and you just didn't? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But she never not once made me feel guilty for it or put this weird, you know, stigma on it, where it's just like, well, why aren't you doing this? It made me hungrier to do it because seeing how involved and how like Christ was moving through her, I was like, I want to get that too, you know? And it was, you know, I always sidetrack. I always associated religion with like negative connotations.
Yeah, which as so many people do.
For sure. Yeah. Especially in my earlier days, it's like my oldest brother was addicted to methamphetamines, and he would get really on these crazy tangents, and he'd believe he was God. And so anytime I'd associate my religion, it's like I associated it with that. And it was always in a negative way.
Yeah.
And little did I know, my brother was actually like a super dedicated follower of Christ. The man just, you know, couldn't.
Had some demons. Yeah.
Yeah, couldn't, you know, fortunately battle that demon. So I always kind of associated that with that. Just like, oh, no, Jesus doesn't bring, you know, anything good. And now, sitting where I'm sitting now and knowing what I know now and feeling the way I feel now, it's very apparent. Very apparent to me that, you know, Christ is real. He came, died for our sins. You're never too far gone. You can always be made whole if you're willing to have grace and let yourself be made whole. You know, God can help you get there.
Yeah.
Jesus will walk you into that path.
Yeah.
You know?
Dude, it sounds like both. I got to take we have to take the second to like applaud both of you though in that moment, because that's takes two very special people to do what both of you did. For her to give you the space so she could just figure it out, and for you to give her the space to figure it out. Like I broke up with my wife before we got married because she didn't believe what I believed.
Wow.
Which is, I'm not saying I was right.
Yeah.
But for me in that moment, I needed what I reference is like that equally yoked, stronger than me at times. I'm stronger than her at times. Like I needed that because I was coming out of what I know. I needed somebody to hold me to that standard, to that accountability. And she couldn't get there. She actually had said, and you guys will both appreciate and love this, she grew up Catholic, the whole thing, right? All the Catholic things. And so did my entire mom's side of my family. So I grew up going to mass as more of my dad thought it would be the respectful thing to do. When the family was all together, we still went to our church, but my dad wanted to show like, hey, like we'll still we'll support the family. It's not, and I was like, oh, okay. Anyways, she had told me that she would never be one of those weird born again Christians. And I was like, okay, fair. And I can't be with you. Like I can't be with somebody that's not going to believe what I believe, because how the heck would we be able to go through craziness together if we don't draw from the same source?
Yeah.
And so for you to both be able to not do that to each other is like, that's a pretty special thing, because, you know, it got you guys to where you're at. Like my wife ended up getting saved after we broke up, which for me, I had thought to myself at the time, I was like, oh, maybe this was my part in her life, you know, in this season of her life.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't. Like she saw like a very broken worldly man trying to get his walk with the Lord back, and it propelled her maybe to be like, maybe there is something there. And I think it's very special that you guys were able to both do that for each other, because that's crazy
Yeah.
in a good way.
No, for sure.
Because I couldn't imagine like disagreeing on something that big now, like as where I am at spiritually, which is a constant daily journey. I could not imagine like having my life partner, the mother to my children, my at times rock, right?
Yeah.
Not drawing from the same source as me, because there's only one source, and I'm not. There's no like negotiating that, or there's no debating that. There's one God that fuels everything that I do, and I'm gonna mess it up. We all are gonna mess it up, but I know that that's where I go back to. That's like my quote unquote true north. And so to have a partner that wouldn't believe that would be very difficult for me.
Yeah, I mean, if you, like the listener, have either are not saved and your spouse is, or, you know, vice versa, go back and listen to what you just described, dude. That was like probably one of my favorite things we've had on this podcast ever, or in a long time, because it was like the way that you both interact, the way that she just like, all right, like, I don't expect you to be where I'm at, but I'm going to go do it. And just led with that example. And then, dude, the applaud to you for just being like, understanding that and being like, hey, I'm not in your place, but I do understand you need to go put that first. Go for it.
Yeah, that's special. That's super
dude,
special.
that is
I don't think I would have been able to do that.
that is a key to a healthy marriage, saved and unsaved.
Yeah.
And knowing each of your worths, that's like the cool part too, is like you knew where you were at and she knew where she was at, but you both just, that's dope.
Dude, your wife's a gangster. I
She's
love
a
that.
G, dude.
She's cool.
Yeah, we've been together a long time. We started dating around high school.
Okay.
Yeah, we got married in 2016, and it's like she's my best friend.
Yeah.
You know, and like the deepest parts of me that I just am like, gosh, old Brad, she loves him and she takes him any which way, you know, and it's like the same with her. It's like we've grown up together.
Yeah.
So we've faced a lot of life, trials, tribulations together. And what's cool about being where we're at now is all those trials and tribulations, they're met with Christ. That it's like, dude, we take them all on like so, I don't want to say easier, but with so much more understanding and so much more firm. Like we could stand tall.
Yeah.
You know, we've had some life challenges and we're just like, cool, dude, we understand. We get it. God's plan.
Dude.
I'm just here.
What's up, guys? Jordan here from the Good Dude, Good Dad podcast. Huge shout out to our sponsor, BioPro. Ben and I have been on it for a while now, but I got to tell you this. Nothing is more important to a dad than sleep. We usually don't get a lot of it, and it's usually not great quality. But ever since I started taking BioPro plus cortisol, my sleep has been phenomenal. So go check them out in our show notes down below. There are a few things in life that I enjoy more, and I argue any man enjoys more than a good cup of coffee in the morning. That's why I use veteran-owned and operated Hidden House Coffee. Hidden House Coffee roasts here in Santa Ana, California. They have locations in Santa Ana, San Juan, or San Clemente. But you can go to hiddenhousecoffee.com and use GDGD on your checkout to receive a discount. I highly recommend going with their coffee subscription. But yes, if you want a great cup of coffee, not a good cup of coffee, a great cup of coffee, go to hiddenhousecoffee.com. Thank you to our sponsors, NextGen. NextGen Industries is committed to advancing longevity, wellness, and strength through precision-driven innovation. Select products are USA finished and manufactured, meaning they are held to a pharmacy-grade, FDA compounding pharmacy standard. Each product is sterile, isotonic, and pH balanced, rigorously tested for purity and quality, and provided a certificate of analysis. That's because at NextGen Industries, transparency, performance, and long-term health come first. So we're going to lead into like our last couple questions, but like the first thing that we ask everybody is like taking your entire life and like, what does it mean to you to be like, if you're going to be talking to your boys and to your daughter, like about the man you want her to marry, like, what is that man? Like, what does it mean to be a good dude and a good dad? Someone that you want your sons to emulate and you want your daughter to marry?
Well, that's a heavy question. I would tell my sons to just be authentically you and don't worry about the opinions of others. Worry about what you know in your heart is right. Because hopefully we've raised you to know the difference between the right and wrong, but to lead with that example and to have grace with others. I mean, dude, that's heavy.
That's a good one.
That's a heavy question. That's
I like that answer though.
Yeah, I mean, I always just try to keep it light and fun with my sons. To know that, like, you know, you don't always need to have this rugged exterior and be the man. Understand there's a time and a place to be the man, and there's also a time and a place to have compassion.
Yes.
And to be a good man and a soft-hearted man. You know, I feel like that's what God wants, you know? He wants you to have a sober mind and a tender heart. And that's all I could ask for my sons.
Dude, that's so rad. I love that. Yeah, I mean, like you see how like Jesus addressed the Pharisees who thought they were super religious with a harsher tone. But the people that you would have expected him to come at a harsh tone with, he came in so soft and like met them where they were at. You know, like the sinnest, like the most gnarly of sinners.
Yeah.
He was like so compassionate and loving to. But the people that thought they were better than everyone else is who like he rebuked.
Yeah.
And so like that's kind of what I was getting when you were saying that to your sons. Like, you know what's right on the inside, and meet people where they're at with what they need in that moment.
Yeah. And then for my daughter, it's another story.
Yeah.
Let's go down that a little bit.
That's a tough one. Yeah. I mean, with my daughter, it's, you know, I would just pray that she would meet a man that would understand her truest worth and wouldn't get in the way of making sure that she is always put first. Whether that's, you know, in a financial situation, in a motherhood situation, just whatever it's going to take to make her the best version of her as a man, you need to do that, you know, or that man needs to emulate that. And I've always, you know, these kids absorb all this. They see all this every day in the way I father and I parent. And I always lead with compassion, but I'm still their dad. I'm still a firm believer in discipline, and you need to be a dad, you know. I'm your friend, but right now we're not friends, you know. But with my daughter, it's just, I just pray that everything that I've ever shown her or she's seen from the way I parent with her mom is what she would be after. And that's compassion. And I've always put selfishly, like my things, or unselfishly, sorry, her mom's needs and my kids' needs first. And I think that's what you do as a good dad, you know, and not only a good dude, but like a solid father. It's being so sacrificial to your wants and needs to make sure that your family and your wife have all the tools and all the things that they need to be the best versions of them that they can be. And that's hard to do sometimes.
Very hard. It's very hard.
Yeah.
If someone listens to this and hears like what we're saying, which it will just naturally happen because people just want to pick apart other people
Yeah.
to make yourself feel better.
Yep.
But all these things are not easy. They're something that require, again, like I said earlier, that just requires the act of working on them and fine tuning and refining and sharpening. And dude, it's so hard to be a good dad.
Yeah.
It would be so much easier to be a deadbeat dad. It would be so much easier.
Yeah.
And to be a good husband is hard.
Yeah.
Because you have to understand what even that means and to be able to be willing to sacrifice. It'd be so much easier just to be a freaking turd of a person. It would be so much easier. And that's what I love about every story that we hear is like, there's, whether they're a believer or not, there's like the one common theme that we get from this podcast is men trying to be better, right? And in trying to be better, it requires sacrificing in other areas of your life, but it would be so much easier to not care and to just be the keyboard warrior and to not have to like actually put your money where your mouth is. And so it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah. Very much so.
There's that cheesy expression like parenting is only hard for good parents.
Yeah.
You know, like that's just the same thing.
True.
Like marriage is only hard if you're trying to have a good marriage.
Yeah.
You know, it's that death to self constantly. But when you're talking about daughters, I don't think I shared this on this podcast yet, but I was listening to something. It was another podcast, or it was a clip from another podcast, and it was a daughter talking about her relationship with her dad and how he like disciplined, and he used to make her do push-ups all the time, and so she was like, he would make me do them. Like if I messed up, we'd be doing them anywhere. She's like, I was once doing push-ups in the middle of Costco's frozen aisle because I disrespected my dad, and that was his thing. And she goes, but he taught me such a great. She's like, I don't even remember what I did, but he taught me about grace and mercy one day in a way I never forget. And she's like, I can't remember what I did, but we got to this point where we would like talk about how many push-ups I was supposed to do. He'd be like, what do you think? Like at first he'd be like, hey, this is worth this. This is worth this. But after a while he would switch it to like, how many think you should do for what you just did? And so there's one time she's like, I messed up. And he goes, well, how many do you think you should do? And she was like, I don't know, 25. He's like, no, I was thinking more than that. She was like, well, where? He's like, I think you should do 100. And she was like, I can't do it. I don't know how to do that. And he goes, okay. He's like, yeah, I think you're right. I don't think you can do 100 push-ups. He's like, so what you're going to do is you're going to watch me and I'm going to do 100 push-ups and you're going to count for me. And she was like, I had tears streaming down my face because he taught me in that one moment, like more about the love of God than any other time in my life. And I was like, dude, it got me so choked. It got me choked up again. And I was just like, that moment is like,
Oof.
and it's like, if we can find those little moments to teach our daughters that those are moments that will, because she was, loop that back around, she was talking about trying to find a man worth marrying. And she's like, it's really hard because because of that story, that's the standard that I have for a man that's willing to do that kind of stuff for me. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
it hit different. But all right, last but not least, what would be one?
Yeah, that's heavy.
I know,
Like,
I know.
that's amazing, dude.
Just trying to come out of that. What is one actionable step that you would? Well, it sounds like you already said it, but I'll give you a chance anyway. What's one actionable step that you would give to your kids if they were trying to be that person that you just described?
Push-ups.
Push-ups, dude.
Actionable step. Honestly, just to, I don't even know, man. There's so many steps you could take that would just make you walk that path, Yeah, dude.
What was the first step you took towards that path?
To be
where you're at now, to when you were trying to come out of old Brad and new Brad. What was that first step you took?
To just look myself in the mirror and just understand that, like, yeah, I'm flawed and that's okay. You have to understand that we're not perfect and we have to work on things and we can help. Jesus can help us with that, but we have to be willing to accept that first and understand that we're not perfect and we need to have grace. And I think a little bit of an ego death is probably going to be the first step in understanding that, like, you are probably getting in the way of you more than you realize. At least I was.
For sure.
I think I got in the way of my growth more times than I can count, but now I have a little bit more compassion with myself and understanding that, like, it's okay. I'm not perfect. I'm not supposed to be.
Yeah.
But tomorrow I'll be better than I was yesterday.
Dude, that's good. That's a great way to end it.
Yeah.
Brad, if they're trying to find you, can you tell us, like, what shameless plug time? Like, what's studio, clothing company?
Cool. So my Instagram is going to be Brad Reis _tattoo.
Okay.
The clothing company is going to be Sacred Clothing Club. And then the studio is Stay Sacred Studios. Okay. And all that's going to be found on my IG, where there's tattoos, cool videos, dad stuff, life stuff, all the stuff.
Let's go.
Yeah.
All right.
Dude, thank you for coming on, sharing your story. I love it. That's why I said I love when we don't know a guest.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I feel like I know you a lot better now moving forward. And now I won't be weird when I see you across the sanctuary and be like, Is that Brad? I'm just kidding. Oh man, Mr. Jordan, thank you.
Thanks, dude. As always, guys, I will link everything down in the show notes down below. And as always, be a good dude, be a good dad.